and thanks for inviting me to join this discussion. Happy to reconnect with a few CGIAR colleagues. I'd like to share with you, if I manage to share my screen, actually a few insights on what the private sector is undertaking towards what we tend to call positive nutrition, and how these actually responds to some of the challenges that both Keith and Danielle mentioned. So WBCSD is a multinational-led association. We have 200 members, large companies, 70 of them being operating in the food sector. So that's a significant share of our members. And we have been working now for many years on efforts to transform the food system, recognizing that it was both unhealthy and unsustainable. Probably the most unhealthy and unsustainable sector among other economic sectors. Last year, we issued a CEO guide for food system transformation to align this transformation with the Paris Agreement, the SDGs, and aiming to show an initial step from companies to bend the curves on climate, nature, and nutrition on the forthcoming events, which most of them have been postponed from this year to next year. This has actually led us to prepare, and this is still ongoing, a food and agriculture roadmap to define the pathways, the targets, and the actions to drive forward the food system transformation for our members. And of course, the idea is to look at the targets, the action areas, and solutions urgently required to, I could summarize by saying, bend the different curves of environmental sustainability, equitable livelihoods, healthy and sustainable diets for all. Pleased to announce that we launched a couple of weeks ago our Food and Agriculture Roadmap's first chapter on healthy and sustainable diets. So pretty topical to this discussion today. I'll share the link to that chapter with you later in the chat. And we just before joining this event, I was on another event on the Pre-Food System Summit event that has been taking place since yesterday. Virtually, we just had a sort of discussion with a few leading companies like Kellogg's and IKEA, but also with the Consumer Goods Forum on this roadmap. An important thing to have in mind and you see here the different companies who are WBCSD members who are engaged in this transformation are a series of transformational targets that are included in our roadmap that shows the level of change that needs to be achieved to transform our food system towards more nutritious, more healthy, and more sustainable in the different regions of the world, according to the targets where we usually have upper and lower boundaries from different recent scientific reports, including, for example, the Eat Lancet report. So if you forget the lower boundary, which is still strongly discussed, which shows like a lot of things should be reduced, you see that that would drive significant change. And of course, it will point to different questions that you already mentioned previously about what would be the role, and I heard in the previous session, what would be the role of SMEs versus big companies on those transformations. This will actually enable us to prioritize actions across 4 action areas, which of course will strongly echo the action tracks of next year's UN Food System Summit. 1 on adjusting menus, product portfolio, and formulations to improve nutrition and sustainability. 1 on increasing the shared diversity and sustainability of plant-based food. A 3rd one on protein diversification and its performance in terms of sustainability. And the fourth one on support consumers to choose and access healthy and sustainable food and reduce food waste, which we know, of course, with COVID-19 has become a sort of, again, a challenge, because most consumers have got a reduced capacity to purchase, even if they had the means to choose to purchase and access healthy and sustainable food. So the resulting action that we're now working on is a pledge, a responsible business pledge for business nutrition that we are preparing for next year's Food System Summit and the Nutrition for Growth Summit that will take place in Tokyo in 1 year from now, looking at different commitment areas for companies on nutrition, smart agriculture, on product reformulation, on improved nutrition, responsible marketing, healthy eating, workforce nutrition, and finance and investment for improved nutrition. And so we expect, and we are working now with the members on having that pledge built together before the first session of the UN Food System Summit in a few months from now. Second part of my contribution today is about crop diversification. It has become an important thing among our members, still strongly discussed, but there has been increasing evidence in the past years that more diversified systems are good for both people and the planet. So the left graph is taken from a paper from 2017 from Mario Herrero that showed actually that the most diverse systems, so those where the largest share here is on the right of the graph, those that have the more diversified basket of crops and animals produced are those which are the more nutritious against different nutritional elements. And these most recent work from Tamburini, published a few days ago, actually shows, it's a meta study that actually shows that diversification drives sustainability by all the criteria that define sustainability in the different agricultural systems across the world. So diversification is an important one. And at WBCSD, we're hosting a new coalition that took off last year, One Planet Business for Biodiversity, so nickname being OP2B, that mobilizes 25 companies across the whole agricultural value chain to drive transformation, but also catalyze action to protect and restore biodiversity. So you see the members that was initiated by Danone, but you would see people here both from the input side, like Yara, which is one of the leading fertilizer company, to Walmart, which is a major retailer. OP2B has 3 pillars, one on regenerative agriculture, one on high-value ecosystems, and the second one here on product portfolio diversification, aiming to drive cultivated and consumed biodiversity through their product offers, increase supply chain traceability and monitor impact on biodiversity as a way to connect with the consumers, and also raise awareness and demystify biodiversity, which for many consumers, but also for many company staff, remains something which is not well understood. And so it means answering to questions that companies have about how do I leverage biodiversity impact in my ingredients? What ingredients, materials should I buy? What's happening in the field with the farmers I'm sourcing my products from? And how can I join forces with other players to enhance these biodiversity of the food portfolio? So that's work in progress on OP2B. So just to conclude, I think I would like to, I wanted to give 2 examples of what business is doing. One is pledging, and especially towards next year's big events, for more sustainable and healthier portfolio, more nutritious portfolio. And on the other hand, OP2B is going further by providing action and helping companies through collective and individual action towards these more biodiverse agriculture and consumption. Thank you.
Thank you, Alain. I was going to summarize what you said, but I'm going to dive straight into a question, please. COVID, the pandemic has affected everyone. You're talking about OP2B, and I'm hearing that there is commitment from big businesses. What I'm curious about is the plans that the big businesses might have to transform the food systems, to make us all more resilient to future shocks. Is it around a circular economy, or is it just point interventions that they're thinking of committing to?
I think the big challenge that COVID-19 has put onto us is that it has revealed that all starts with our food system, but also that our food system are a powerful means to fix it. We've done a work that we will launch in a couple of weeks now on planetary boundaries with Johan Rockström, showing that the fastest way to bring our planetary system back to a safe operating space according to the planetary boundaries is actually fixing our food system towards what I would call nature positive agriculture. And so that's a major challenge, partly because everyone has had its attention to climate, which is of course important, but nature has been lagging behind. And when we speak about nature positive, we still have a lot of governments and companies telling us it will be difficult to be nature positive while feeding the world population. But a lot of the transformation goals we have now before us show that there's a way to make our food system more nature positive, actually restoring ecosystems and restoring ecosystems functions. And we know that will be the fastest way to make our system more resilient to future shocks, be it climate or future pandemics. I think the big challenge when we say nature positive agriculture is to think about these difficult balance we have to find between reducing agriculture's climate impact while the same way halting land conversion, halting deforestation, restoring ecosystems by rebuilding, regenerating ecological integrity in these wide agricultural areas that we have developed all across the world, where there's no more biodiversity and where 2/3 of the 15 last year's pandemics have emerged from.
Yeah, thank you for that.